Hey guys, we're at Virginia International Raceway this weekend for the GT World Challenge America Series. This is the AMG GT3 behind me. I'm going to take you on board with us through my helmet cam and show you how we prepare for the races in the practice sessions. We're at VIR and I have my helmet cam on. This is the very first session of the event for us. We actually only had Friday practice. Everyone else had Wednesday, Thursday, and then Friday. Unfortunately, we only had one session to get the car dialed in. So just sitting in the car. My seat insert was already in there. My chief mechanic, Carlo, who's helping me just get the seatbelts done up. So I have all the buckles in. He just put up the safety net. That's Taco.
Hey, Taco.
Hey, what's up?
He's our driver changer.
Very good.
Is it recording?
Yeah, I think so. It's blinking.
Oh, lovely.
Does that one need to be started too?
Huh?
Does that one need to be started too?
I think Chad is going to do it.
Okay.
Chad's our video guy for the team. Like, he's awesome. A lot of the footage that we get throughout the weekend is from Chad Engel. He's awesome. Really, really good guy to work with. So just adjusting the steering wheel now, getting it set to my personal liking. I have to plug in my radio. We're going to do a radio check. Ignition went on, so radio turns on.
check.
My engineer is on the radio with me. So there you go. Main switch was on, now the ignition. So the dash will turn on with the ignition. I was like, should I turn the camera on? Nah, I'll leave it, because normally we have like an auto start for the camera. So we have different pages on the dash. I just clicked off the tire pressure page. That's information that I can't really share with the public. It's private to the team, so I put it on the temperature page on the dash. You can see there. We also have like traction control and ABS settings that you can see on the dash. We have like 8 on ABS. The values are not really linear. They're kind of doing different things in terms of like front slip, rear slip, and then percentage of intervention. So usually I always find like 8 on the ABS in real life to be pretty good. If it's a really, really low grip track, I may go either like 6 or even like, I don't know, sometimes higher. The higher settings, like 11, I believe, is like 11 and 12 are Nordschleife settings. So I went to 10 on traction control. The blue is traction control, and the yellow, if you see it pop up on the dash, is ABS settings. So just fired up the engine with the start button on the wheel, the red one that you can see. If you ever want to start this car, you just push the main switch, the ignition, push the starter button, and off you go. Don't take my car though. This is going to be a longer form video as well, just selecting first gear, waiting for my engineer. You can see him on the radio, the guy with no hair, just giving me the go-ahead. So we have to wait for a certain countdown on the radio from race control before we go out for practice. This is an official practice session. So just getting the final, the belt buckles done up properly. Off the pit speed limiter and full speed away. I'm just adjusting the radio because my engineer is talking to me with the engine now at full RPM. So radio check into turn 1. That's what you can see on the top left corner of the steering wheel. I'm pushing the radio button. I wasn't happy with the steering wheel position, so I kind of loosened it, moved it around just a little bit. I felt like it was a bit too close to me. So this is my very first lap of the event. And because we're 2 days behind everyone else, we're like pressed to go for it straight away. So you're going to see the very, very first lap. Thank goodness for simulators. The very first lap, I'm pushing straight away. And actually, fun fact, I still to this day hold the lap record at VIR in GT3. at a 141.8. We didn't get anywhere close to it because we have a different tire now, and the tires have a huge impact on the performance. So it's a different Pirelli compound that we're using now versus back in 2018 when I set the lap record. So I know the track very well. I'm just adjusting the steering wheel a little bit, getting the tires up to temp, trying to scrub the fronts in. Still not happy with the steering wheel. So like I said, this is going to be a longer video, very raw. I'm just going to let it play. I've sorted out the overheating issues with my camera, with the GoPro, so it should work. Car ahead was kind of like slowing down to open up a gap. I was thinking maybe I'd go around him, but I mean, little gamesmanship being played. Look, he accelerated, didn't want me to go, so I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll just stay back here. Open my own gap. I'm checking my mirrors to make sure there's no traffic. And now I'm starting my very, very first push lap. So it'll be interesting to see this first push lap. You'll see the intensity and the level of commitment that I already have. So still trying to get a little bit of, not so much temperature, but just getting a feel for the tire and trying to scrub the top surface off. So already pretty much on the limit into turn 1. I have a really good reference point just from the past. I know more or less where to go. I wasn't happy with 10 traction control. I need a little bit more support, so I've turned it down to 9. The lower the number, the more support you're going to get from the driving aids. So already really, really on, maximum attack. Mode push. Just flat out at this point. The first lap wasn't too bad. The second lap was a little bit better, but you'll start to see as soon as the new tire goes away and I'm just pushing that limit a little bit more, you'll see the car's quite nervous at this point. It's actually very nervous, especially in the beginning phase of the corner. On the brakes and on the brake release, you'll start to see as soon as that new tire goes off, that I'm starting to struggle. So the driver ID, I didn't set it. It was on driver 1. I'm driver number 2 in this setting, well, in the setup. So we have a manual switch on the top. So you can see the blinking lights. That's the ABS. It's not really hard intervention. It's just kind of blinking, but you don't really feel like it's on, if that makes sense. See, the blue is rear locking and the purple will be front locking, and it'll be each side. So if it's lighting up on the right, it will be right side tires. If it's both, it's like both rears that are up in the air, maybe under rotating a little bit. So you can see those the kind of pinky purple lights on the outside. That's both fronts locking. If you see only one, it's like the inside tire or the outside, whichever side it is. See how nervous the car is. Using a lot more curb this time. Really committed. It's flat out through the S's. This is actually such a fun section of the track. It feels amazing when you're flying through here. The front just lifts a little bit. Flat out all the way till turn 10 right here. Car's nervous. I'm like so nervous to turn in. Like I'm really, really gentle with the initial steering input. Like look at that. Just the rear is just not happy. The front was quite strong on the initial rotation, but the rear is it just cannot keep up. So the split is just off front to rear. I would love more rear grip, but sometimes to get more rear grip, you might need to take a little bit off the front to gain that balance back in the car. Just a little understeer through the center. To really attack the curb on the left. I'm on the radio right now giving some feedback. And also, I believe I was asking what the pace was because I need to know what the pace is and what my pace is. You can see I just did a 45.9, which is not great, but not too bad for like the first push laps. That's all right. A little bit of TC intervention. You saw the blue light up on the dash. Look at the rear. Nerves. I'm just floating the car in. Just car controls 10 out of 10 at this point. I'm going to be giving myself a perfect rating for car control. What do you guys think about my car control? I want you to give me a rating down below out of 10. It's okay if you give me a 1. It's fine. I won't be too sad. I might cry a little bit. You see how there's a lot of oversteer when I'm trying to rotate the car, and when I come off the pedals, it just kind of washes into a bit of understeer. Are you guys picking up on the balance as well? Like, if you were to look at this, what do you guys think about the balance of the car? Give me your driver feedback, your breakdown for this first run. We're gonna revisit it in the second run, so hold your comments for now, maybe, or you can write one and then write another one after. Up to you. And while you're at it, you might as well sub to the channel if you haven't already done so. Because if you made it to this part, I mean, you're pretty much invested in it. So, while you're down there clicking buttons, you might as well hit the like button as well. Oh boy. So you can see my lap delta. I'm like 200ths down on my best. Now it's about a 10th and a bit. So that new tire edge is going away, but I am getting more comfortable with the track. So there's going to be kind of an interesting point where the tire goes off, but I start to drive better and really start optimizing the balance that we have. I'm still not entirely happy, but we have a lot of work to do here at this point. I get to a certain point in the corner where I feel the understeer, and instead of adding more wheel, I just kind of hold it and try to balance the car with a little trail brake, or sometimes with throttle to help, do something with the differential, whether you're opening or closing the diff with your foot. That will either help or it will help stabilize the car or give more rotation. Although those curbs are so big, it's actually quite smooth when you jump over. So there's a lot of dialogue going back and forth. You can see the top left corner on the steering wheel. I'm on the radio every lap giving feedback, and we're just trying to expedite the process. So that's a better lap, 45.5. This should be my best. You'll see the delta is showing green. You can't really see it because of contrast, but I'm up on my time at this point. Now even. We're back up again. I got a really good exit out of turn 6 into the S's. Oof, a lot of commitment there. I'm feeling a little more comfortable with it. I'm understanding what the balance is, and it's more predictable for me. I know it's going to be a little loose, so I'm just ready to catch that oversteer and steer into the slide. yeah, that was my best lap of practice. I believe it was a 45.0. We'll see what it is across the line. .45.1 on the dash, but 45.0 on the official timing. There's a slight variance. We also have two drivers. Oh, yeah, so at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm pretty comfortable with the balance. I know what it's like. And the engineer usually sets out a run plan. So you'll do like a 6-lap run. So they'll say, okay, 6-lap run, get a balance check. We see how the car progresses, box, and then we'll make a change, go back out, and then after that we do a driver change because it is a 2-driver series. So myself and Kenton Cook was driving with me this weekend. We were in the pro category. And I mean, he's for sure the most experienced or the highest rated silver driver. If you don't understand what that means, there's FIA is the governing body. They issue license grades or I guess, yeah, they color code you. Silver, well, bronze, silver, gold, and platinum. So silvers and bronze are AM drivers or categorized as AMs, but not always. It's very complicated. I should make a whole video on just that. But essentially, to break it down simply, bronze and silver are AM drivers, and gold and platinum are pro drivers because they earn a living from racing cars. So into the pit lane now on the pit speed limiter, 50 kilometers per hour, and just giving a bit of feedback. I'm gonna pull into the box here and then we'll chat some more. I'll stay quiet and you can listen in on the radio.
Something I forgot. My bad.
I forgot to put the chrono button for the pit timer. It's bottom left corner. See that brown one? Bottom left on the wheel? I'll do it next time.
The front, it's pretty sharp on the deceleration phase of the corner. So on the initial turn in, I feel like it's quite strong. But the rear is not really, it's not really in line with how strong the front is. I feel like maybe not so much on heavy braking, more so on the release phase of the braking. I feel like the rear of the car is just sliding, and especially even in coast, right off of the trail brake, in coast, the rear is really, really nervous and sliding. But once the car settles through the center of the corner, then it starts to induce some understeer just before throttle application. So I think that I can deal with the understeer. It's more so just the oversteer. I'm not able to control the rotation and be comfortable with pointing the car. It's just like on the release of the brake, the rear tends to slide into the corner, whether it's high speed, medium, or low.
I'm just trying to catch my breath. And my brain is going 1,000,000 miles per hour. My engineer is also French, so you have to speak in like simple terms for, you know, just easy communication. Oh, you saw something. Don't tell anybody.
Exactly.
So on
initial turn in, before it even starts to roll, it's just like, it's really, really, yeah, it's oversteering on the rear. On the, maybe not so much the initial braking phase, but like on the release, like through the middle of the brake release to coast, it's really, really free in the rear.
So you could see that, like, for example, turn 3, turn 12 into Oak Tree. You could see how the rear, like, as I was fading off the brake, the rear was really nervous. Like,
yeah,
I had no
so.
confidence.
I mean, it definitely wouldn't hurt.
Same with turn 10.
But I mean, for me, it feels more like a mechanical deficiency rather than aerodynamic. But I mean, I don't think it would hurt. We can definitely try as a something to, you know, help the rear.
So spoiler, we went up on the rear wing here, but what would you guys do if you were an engineer? What would you do to change the balance of the car? Like, what would be the first thing you would do? curious. Let me know in the comments. So they adjusted the rear wing. I'm gonna go back out. We went with more rear downforce. It's definitely just a band-aid for a deeper issue that we were having with the car. Just keep in mind, this is the first time we've actually gone to a circuit with a very, like a higher grip surface. So the balance of the car, it was interesting. Like what was working for us at COTA, what was working at New Orleans, at Sonoma, is not quite working for us here. So we had to really dig deep, and with no knowledge on what these changes really would do, we had to start looking into what we could potentially do to get the balance back in the car. So we'll see how the balance is after my first push lap. Let's see if you guys notice the difference in rear stability. Mostly in like the medium and high speed corners. We'll see if you guys can see the difference in just the way the car's behavior is. You can see all the marbles shooting off out of the louvers in the front of the car. I'm just trying to open up a little bit of a gap here. You can see there's a car behind me. I'm trying not to slow him up too much. Well, not at all. I don't want to get in the way of anybody. That's the big thing. So you always have to be heads up with who's behind you. So you can see I can brake just a little bit later. I was braking at the 3. This is a very tricky section. You're asking so much from the left front and the right or the left rear. Just leaning on it all the time is a balancing act. The driver ID wasn't working. That's why I remember my engineer asking me to adjust driver ID. So we had to reset that after the session. So on the used tire, 45.6. So I feel definitely a lot more confident in the car. As you can see on old tires, second run with heat cycle on them, I'm still able to extract the time. And we're up now as well. We were up out of turn 1 on my best time. So it definitely looks, you can say, I think we can all agree, it looks a little bit more stable. But the main mechanical deficiencies are still there. All over this Porsche. He's giving me the turn signal. Love it. But this lap is more or less shot because of the traffic. We're already like 9/10 down on the time. But we're not here for lap time. We're here for SR. I mean, Just kidding. Whoa. Huge drift. Yeah, I mean, I'm still just not thrilled with the balance of the car. And if you guys watched the races, you may have seen race 1, how the balance was. It wasn't until race 2 where we really got the thing dialed in. Like, we made a huge change for race 1, and it was way better than what this was, but it still was on the edge. I went to traction control 8 just to, as the tires wear out more, I'm just adjusting that traction control for more support. So beginning of the run, I'll let it be a bit more open so I can use the tire without intervention. And as I progress further into the run and as the tires wear, I start dialing traction control back into it. I know that's a question I've been asked in the comments in previous videos, like what settings I'm changing, and typically I'm not really doing too much. The only thing really maybe is a little bit of traction control, but a lot of the times I might just start, if I know it's a high tire deck circuit, I might just start at a more supportive traction control setting, being proactive rather than reactive, making sure that I don't damage the tires right away and have a lot of tire life left at the end. Something like Laguna Seca, if you guys watch the IMSA Michelin Pilot Challenge race, I opted for a more conservative traction control setup, and it paid dividends in the long run because our pace over the stint was very good. So I'm fairly close to the Delta, like definitely feeling way more comfortable. You can see only 3/10 down with old tires, or older tires, off the peak. Yeah, still able to do 45.5s. 45.6. So pretty decent. Pretty decent in terms of like the pace, how we were versus the others on older tires or at the same tire life. We were pretty comparable, I would say. It was just the peak on the tire that we were missing, and it's something that was so hard even going into qualifying for us. Like, for instance, I qualified pretty poorly. Spoiler alert. You know, we were 6/10 or 7/10 off the other Mercedes that we're more or less referencing ourselves off of. That was P2. The BMW was 5/10 clear of every single car on track. But the other Merc was like 6/10 ahead of us. And it doesn't take much, 6/10, you know, a little bit, especially on the track where it's a minute 45. A 10th here, a 10th there makes a huge difference. So just having a little bit of instability in the rear, not being able to push the entries, that it just kills you. So I'm just backing it off now. I'm on an in lap. Still need to push, and you still need to give it, because if you go slow, you get pickup on the tire. That's something that you may not know, but the Pirelli rubber likes to discard the marbles. I mean, you may see it in F1. And also, if you just go slow, see how it's like the darker rubber on the road? If you go slow on that, the rubber actually sticks to the tire. Like, it just picks the rubber back up and sticks on the tire. Like the rubber off the curb, the rubber around the outside. So you need to still push. So I'm pushing all the way on pit entry, all the way to the line. You'll see in the bottom left corner, I'm pushing the chrono there. Trying to get that lap time. You can see the blue just lights up. Now I'm doing a hot driver change, loosening off my belts. And sticking the seatbelt on the magnet, adjusting the steering wheel, moving it up so Kenton can get in easily and I can get out. I'm gonna pull my seat insert. Now Kenton goes in for the first time. And I'm gonna help him. And we haven't practiced a driver change. This is just us kind of winging it.
All right, I might have to loosen the top belts a bit more.
He's very tall.
Okay, let's get that one. You just have to go over your Hans. Yeah. Your Hans is so twisted. Good?
All right, so door closed, and now Kenton's gonna have a go. I'm gonna walk back to the table. It's very hot. It was very hot, like around 30 degrees Celsius. Checking out the snacks, seeing what I can eat. I'm always hungry. So there, car off the air jacks. Oh boy, look at unshaved Morad. All right, Kenton just did a 4-lap run, and I'm gonna go back in the car. So just checking myself out in the reflection. How you doing? You know, making sure everything's lined up and my radio's tucked into my suit. Got my seat insert. We're allowed to see that dashed line. We're allowed to stand on the other side of the wall, but not on the other side of that dashed orange line. So that's considered a hot pit lane.
Huh?
We go down with the ride height.
Yeah.
Same car balance.
So I cut the rest of it because it's like specific numbers. I'm not going to give you what we did exactly, but you can let me know what you guys think we changed just there. I mean, aside from the ride height going down. Oh, Kenton forgot to put his radio on his helmet. So it got stuck on the seatbelt. So seat insert, boom. Taco's helping me plug in. Kenton didn't lose.
Oh boy.
He did not loosen the waist belts.
That wouldn't want to click in.
We're gonna need to practice loosening the seatbelts.
Yeah, we gotta loosen them up. Okay. Alright. I think this one should be good.
Okay. I'm a fat boy.
It's my seat insert puts me higher than Kenton because.
Did you just call me a chunky monkey?
Oh boy.
Alright, I'm gonna lock you in. You good?
Hopefully nobody else calls me a chunky monkey going forward. Please don't. I'm sensitive. Went back to 9 TC. Gonna see if I can manage it a bit more because there was a lot of intervention with 8. So when we take the tires off every time and put them back in the blankets, make sure the tire temps are, you know, always at the optimal temperature and pressures. So we have consistent and accurate testing parameters and, you know, environment. So I'm gonna go back out. We made some more changes to the car, obviously, as I mentioned, which you guys have told me what they are in the comments below. And if you haven't already done so, you can do that right now on my outlap. Just scroll down. You're not missing too much. Now you can see, well, now you're missing something. Come back to the video. The lever on the bottom right that I just pushed is like adjusting the pedals. So Kenton's a little bit taller than me, so I had to bring the pedals back towards me. So that's something we have to deal with in driver changes. I'm just letting this car go. I already kind of screwed his lap, but didn't want to mess it up anymore. So I'm just getting some clear space. I want to set my own pace and prepare the car for the laps. I believe I'm only going to do a couple laps here because it's enough for me to see what the balance is like. We're just trying to collect as much data as possible in this 1-hour session. getting the pickup off the tire as much as I can. And here we go, first push lap. Let's see what it's like. It's very, very difficult here because sometimes the car just randomly can slide because you have pickup and you don't even realize it. We had that in the race. You may have seen it if you watched on GT World in race 1 where I had a massive slide through the last corner. It was due to the tire pickup. You can see it, the chunks coming out the front. I mean, the rear is just not there. It's non-existent. I had McDonald's trays on the rear tires. So with that slide, it should be better now. Let's see what it's like going forward if there's more rear grip. You know, believe it or not, sometimes sliding the car helps clean off the tire. So you may see a huge slide and then you're like, oh, all of a sudden there's pace. And that happened on the broadcast where the commentators were saying, oh, Morad had a huge slide, and then all of a sudden I just open a gap because the car is just handling so well. When you have like other rubber on the tire, it's not the actual rubber connecting your car to the road. It's somebody else's. So just trying to get that pickup off, weaving. If you pay attention to the front of the car, you may see chunks coming out of the front air louvers over the front tires. Just from time to time, things fly out. Little chunks of rubber. Okay, I'm gonna push now this lap. I feel like the car's ready. Let's leave it. We're gonna have a nice lap of silence. So you see, like, the rear it looked a little bit more stable, but the understeer got worse. So we're just piecing the puzzle together at this point. We're trying to piece it all together. So you can see how much worse the understeer got. I don't know if you could compare that from the first runs to what I have now. The car looks a little bit more stable in the rear. You can tell, in this corner especially, it's a lot more stable on the entry, but there's a lot more understeer mid-corner. So now we need to get that balance back mid-corner, but also get the stability on corner entry. And with only one session, the only reason we had one session, number one, everyone was there on the Wednesday and Thursday with 2 sessions each day. So they had 5 sessions. We had 1 session. The reason we had 1 is because on Friday, the second session was rained out / there were thunderstorms and lightning. So the marshals couldn't be out on the track, and we couldn't run. And the other reason why we didn't run on Wednesday and Thursday is because they weren't official series days, and Ziad Gondour, my teammate for the whole season, is on holiday with his family, and he agreed that he would still allow the team to run and supported the team, but with that, there was no extra budget to run the extra days. It was just the race event. So we had what we had, and we dealt with it, and we appreciate, no matter what, the support, and Ziad allowing us to do the race with Kenton Cook, who we brought in. So into the pits now. I'm like, yeah, this is enough for me. I know what the balance is like. Click the chrono. We're just getting the pit speed because there's a minimum delta. We're allowed 65 seconds at this track from the in line to the out line. Everything else in between is free. So as fast or as slow as we want to come into the box, how we change tires, add fuel, change drivers. But we have to do a quick driver change. We only have about 30 seconds maximum to change drivers. So we need to do it sort of speedy. But it's not like IMSA where you need to do like 18, 16 second driver changes. You can just relax. You can see there's no urgency.
This one.
Still, I gotta plug in his radio. I guess it popped out. We fixed that for the race. Taped it in. Gotta always remember the window net. We had to work really hard after that practice. Used quali as a test session. Race one as well, but in the end we got it all dialed in and the car was awesome.
Hope you guys liked the practice laps. We only got one session, unfortunately, because the second session was stopped due to rain, but we dialed the car in. We used qualifying as a little bit of a test session to experiment with the car, but clearly it paid off because we won the first race here at Virginia International Raceway. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that content and the preparation, all the work that goes into setting up the car and getting it ready for the race. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure you like the video, and let me know what your favorite part of the video was. And if you made it to this point, we got to think about a word to say. Morad Go Zoom, okay? Let's go with Morad Go Zoom. If you made it to this point in the video, write that in the comments if you are a true follower of the channel, and I'll see you guys in the next race.